Trump just stopped World War III. Breaking news, Putin and Russia join the Board of Peace. What's going on, everybody? It's Arai Beckman here, founding partner of the Peace Through Trade blockchain and AI project. We're a global project focused on the intersection of blockchain, AI, and sustainability. So this means something to us. Check it out. I've got up here a slide from a presentation of ours where we show the gentleman that we pulled from his quote when we named Peace Through Trade years ago. It was a guy named Edmund Burke, and he said, to dispel the drums of war through international trade and cultural exchange. So peace through trade. Now, what's super interesting is, quite controversially, as Trump always does, he recently added additional member states to his Board of Peace, which originally was founded to help Gaza and the people of Gaza. So let's watch a quick recap together on what it is and what it sort of evolved into and the controversy that's happening right now. This affects global peace, global commerce, and if Putin and Russia are joining this, there are massive, massive implications that will ripple throughout the entire world. We'll get into that after we watch this brief summary on what it's all about.
We're seeing the ceasefire in Gaza, but the board was initially meant to be a small group of leaders overseeing the ceasefire in Gaza, but it's morphed into something much bigger, and its signing here at the World Economic Forum is highly controversial. The board has been criticized as infringing on the authority of the United Nations and has been described as a takeover of the world order by Donald Trump. On top of that, the $1 billion membership fee that permanent members will have to pay has been highly criticized. The board was initially meant to be a small group of leaders.
Right, so none of that was positive from this lady. Now, what's interesting, and she's right, those are all the criticisms. Okay, now what's interesting is, I don't know, obviously right now Putin and Russia are at war with Ukraine. That's not good. There's about 1,000 soldiers, unfortunately, dying a day on both sides. Now, I myself and Peace Through Trade, we're geopolitically neutral. But we do want world peace through trade. We want peace. We don't want that 1,000 soldiers a day dying on either side. We would prefer for it to end as soon as possible. Now, a few years back, Tucker Carlson actually went to Russia, went to the Kremlin, and interviewed Vladimir Putin. It's one of the only interviews from a Western journalist that we have over the past 3-4 years since this conflict started. And what was interesting is that Putin said something in that interview that I'd never seen ever before published in a Western media, which was that he was interested, these were his allegations, that he had been asking to be a part with Russia to join NATO for the last number of decades. Now, if that happened by law, through pledge, as a member state, he would be our ally. And he no longer would be the sort of pending global villain that our Western media has obviously shown him to be as a result of this Ukrainian conflict. And therefore, if he joins, as an example, this now Board of Peace, what does that mean for him with this current conflict and the giant elephant in the room, the pending fear that he could keep going after Ukraine into the rest of Europe, sparking off World War III? At the same time, Russia and China are members of not the G7, the other nation states group, which is called BRICS, and that has India and Brazil and a number of other nations a part of it as well. So the World War III scenario gets somewhat pretty scary, obviously, for all of us, but also can kind of domino effect should Russia keep going past Ukraine. So what's really interesting, though, is that although there's all this controversy, she's right, people are freaking out. People at the United Nations, leaders, various leaders, whether it's the Canadian leader, Mark Carney, the Prime Minister of Canada, or the Democratic governor of the state of California, Gavin Newsom, people have weighed in on this saying it's egotistical, it's rash, it's irrational, it's disrupting the world order, which it is. That's absolutely the case. But what's interesting is, as humans, I love the thought of objectively looking at all these things and discussing them together as a community. Let's see what we can learn together. Let's not just take the media's perspective at face value and let it absolutely govern our decision making. Let's discuss. We all have free thought. Let's understand as a community together what we think is going on. Share your perspectives, share your discourse in discussing this thing as a community. We're committed to learning, evolving, and growing together. So what's interesting on more of a positive note here is, yeah, the $1 billion thing, it's interesting. I can understand from Trump's perspective, perhaps, maybe he's just really wanting to make sure that's enough money where they're really actually committed to whatever it is that they're doing. In true Trump fashion and style and bravado, he has ensured that he will be the chairperson of that for the rest of his life after he even leaves his administration as United States president. Now, here are some of the positives, though. If Putin's allegations, which he said when I watched the interview, I didn't know how to verify and validate, is that true that he was really trying to join NATO? That would have been a dramatic, really important point for me to understand growing up. But if those allegations were true, it was really interesting that in less than 24 hours after Trump announcing this board of peace, Putin responded favorably and positively. And let's check out what he has to say here. Here, this was, I just searched this randomly on Instagram. This is not a page I follow. I can't verify the clip that they're showing is real, but I have seen it on a number of other Instagram pages. So I'm just going to play it for you, and we'll hear the translation. It's a pretty rough translation, but this was Putin's alleged official commentary on his invitation and actually confirming his interest in joining. Okay, let's do it again.
To the board of peace from the frozen assets assets frozen by the previous administration, and the remaining funds from the funds frozen in the United States could be used to rebuild territories that suffered during hostilities. Once we sign a peace deal between Russia, we could contribute.
Man, I wish that clip wasn't cut off there. He says, once we sign a peace deal. I've been looking for this original clip. If anyone here has it, if our team's watching this, if you're a member of the community, you can find the whole thing. I really would love to hear what he says at the end there. Once we sign the peace deal with, is he saying Ukraine? So let's put all the controversy aside. I tell people we're geopolitically neutral, but I'm also Canadian. For us, it's more of a normal thing just to discuss these things, not to become too polarized on one side or the other. In Canada, we generally thought that most politicians were sold out for corporate interest, not necessarily our best interest. When I was going to university, that's what we thought as a young student population. So we would discuss things. We would ask each other what we thought were the positives, what we thought were the negatives of any prospective candidates. And then we would learn from each other and we would still be friends. So that's something I encourage everyone to do. Is it possible that what Trump has done here with this board of peace, getting Putin to positively respond in less than 24 hours, that he and Russia would be happy to join? They'd be happy to contribute the $1 billion membership fee. It's funny because he basically says, sure, yeah, okay, well, if you release that from the funds of Russia's that you've already frozen in America, it's basically money he doesn't have access to right now anyway. So, good for him. I think that's an interesting power negotiating move there. But then what happens? Is he now willing to sign a peace deal with Ukraine? Does he now go from this outstanding, him and China potentially in the Western media? I'm not saying this is true. We work with lots of amazing Chinese people at Peace or Trade. In fact, some of our smartest team members are Chinese. Our data scientist, in my opinion, is one of the most intelligent, amazingly effective data scientists that I know of. And she's Chinese. She's an incredible person. So I'm not saying I go along with the whole narrative of Western media. I actually think, this is where I'm biased, that I think, I could be totally wrong here, but we think as a group that everyone just wants a better quality of life for themselves, their community, their families, their loved ones, and their nation. And if we could thrive well enough with enough prosperity together, it could very well override the cost of conflict and doing war. So that's why we're a big fan of this breaking news of Trump's board of peace. And so, this is where we really have to ask ourselves this question. What's just nuts about this? And here, I'll show you guys if I can. You're able to see this. Okay, so these were the search results I got here on Instagram. It's right here for you guys. And there's quite a few results on Putin's official response to this board of peace invitation. So this is the most potentially earth-shattering in terms of the global theater of war and who are our allies and who are the villains on the planet. If Putin and Russia join this with Trump, the current president of the United States of America, and all the other nation states, which this post I thought was supposed to show also. Oh yeah, okay, here we go. So this also shows the rest of the countries that have already officially agreed to join. So you've got Argentina, Armenia, Azerbaijan, Bahrain, Belarus, Bulgaria, Egypt, Hungary, Indonesia, Jordan, Kazakhstan, Kosovo. Okay, let's see what else they've got here. Yeah, look at this. Morocco, Mongolia, Pakistan, Paraguay, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, UAE, Uzbekistan, Vietnam. Countries that officially will not join the board for now: France, Norway, Slovenia, Sweden, the UK. Like, does that even, okay, I understand that people may or may not have issues with these, and there's giant global geopolitics involved, and the UN is doing a lot of really good work. Over the past year, I had a chance to meet more of the United Nations representatives and government representatives working with the United Nations than I had at any point in time prior to in my life. And I had a chance to talk to them, ministers of the environment, ministries of the environment, and understand the really good work that they're really trying to do. But the UN, and they'll tell you this, is not without fault. They're not perfect. They have their own bureaucracy that has evolved over the decades, which is a barrier to doing the actual good work that they really want to achieve, whether it's with peace or sustainability. So is it really that bad of a thing to create something else with funding, $1 billion a member, right? How many members do we have already? Anyone do the counting here? So you got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. I don't want to double count here. So I got Kosovo. So 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. And Russia's not on this list. I don't see, no. So already he's got 22 member states. If Russia joins, $23 billion already contributed to peace. Is that a bad thing? No. The earth-shattering part is if Russia actually joins, perhaps this could force them or be a part of them closing the peace deal with Ukraine. Thank God. No more innocent, no more young lives need to be lost any longer. We can start rebuilding. I also saw a clip, and I don't know where it is. This is all allegedly. We haven't verified any of this. We have to do this diligence together as a community. I'm just, oh, cool. Our team member sent us the full audio. Let's see if it opens up here. So I just got in from our team. This could be the full clip of Putin. Thank you so much, Taryn. You rock. Okay, and then we also, it looks like, got a full list of those that have joined versus those who have also officially declined. Hopefully my stream is still going here. This link is getting the Apple rainbow wheel of death here. Oh, it's moving. Okay, Palestine first. Cool. Okay, this is actually what I was hoping for. So I'd seen some other clips in the very brief amount of research that I had to do, which was really cool, where Putin said his $1 billion funding, he wants to make sure goes to support the Palestinians and the rebuilding of Palestine. Now, the problem with Trump is, love him or hate him, he does things that look genuinely amazing. He also says stuff that is extremely polarizing, potentially very offensive to everyone. I'm sure he has the right intention. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. And I also understand just who his personality is, what he's all about. He was quite literally saying in one of the more recent interviews he also did for this Board of Peace, and talking about how there's great land for the development of a golf course in Palestine. Now, maybe not the first thing I personally would comment when regarding the geopolitical space. In my mind, the suffering, the imagery we have on both sides, it's not one-sided, it's a complex issue. Both the Israeli side, what happened was horrific. Both the Gaza side, horrific. Now, thinking about, not going to tangent off here, but just recently Iran, the reports I've seen coming in from there, incredible. I hope it's not accurate numbers I've seen. If it's true, the number of citizens that have died recently in the protests in Iran could exceed, in a several-week period, more than took place over 2.5 years in Palestine, in the Gaza area. But what's very interesting about this announcement, so Trump said that, at the same time, my point was he was talking about the Board of Peace, the great movement he's making, and then he talks about doing a development of a golf course. So, this is what we're getting, guys. I was telling someone yesterday, I would have loved if we had someone that was as to the point and effective, bringing together peace deals, shutting down tyranny as quickly as he is, like Trump, but someone that spoke with the, perhaps the talent, deliverability of an Obama. So like the effectiveness of Trump, the power of speaking gracefully, diplomatically of Obama. Imagine we had both of those together. I think there's pros and cons to both sides. We did not see this level of effectiveness objectively as a Canadian that we're seeing from Trump on the global stage ever. Never seen it before. So we don't like his delivery maybe 100% of the time. Is what it is. It's what we're faced with. But the thing about Trump that's also super weird and refreshing is he does genuinely feel authentic, at least to what he's saying to you. When he says something, that's generally what he means. It might not be a delivery that we're expecting. That's as perhaps kind and courteous in that respect to the people of Gaza in that aforementioned clip. But at least it is what you're getting. Whereas you have all this underhanded stuff that other politicians share where you absolutely don't trust them as far as you can throw them. And that they're literally trained to say what they're saying and they have zero intention on following through on it. So that's at least one of the global appeal points to Trump that, I was predominantly raised liberal in Canada and, but we can still look objectively at the positives that are happening for the world. We might not like them, might not like the way that they're spoken about, might not like the delivery. But, I was telling someone the other day, the people of Venezuela, my daughters and my family and I visited Costa Rica last year, brief tangent. My daughters were learning to speak Spanish. They spoke to some little girls that had survived the trek from Venezuela, walking through the Darien Gap in Panama, like an impassable part of the world. There's no roads that go by there. It's rivers and crocodiles and snakes, and it's allegedly like super dangerous. These are little girls, 6, 7, 8 years old. And my daughter was just learning Spanish, and I'm learning Spanish, so we were doing our utmost to understand it. We couldn't even believe that she'd made it to Costa Rica, walking on foot with her family, hitchhiking buses as they're able to, and they were asking for money to try and make it up at that time to America. It was another crazy story. There was people telling them that they could come in illegally and they were going to get paid. That's another story. That's what we learned talking to them. They were going to get paid when they got to America, which would have been relieving because they told us the point of this story, this tangent, was how bad it was in Venezuela. People were dying. They described to us some pretty horrific circumstances. And it was worth, imagine this, it was so bad in Venezuela, according to these Venezuelans, that it was worth the risk to walk through no man's land and try and make it all the way up to America. So that's my little tangent there. I don't appreciate the way in which maybe all these things go down, but I really appreciate for the Venezuelan people, perhaps now that there can be an end to that suffering. And we don't have to like the way it happened for sure, but it's happened. And it's like, at the end of the day, these are points of philosophical discourse where we can share, grow, and evolve together as a community. I don't think anyone's right on one side or the other, but having spoken to some of the Venezuelan people then and now, they are very grateful and appreciative for the result. So this is another cool part of Putin's comment. Now that we have the full clip, let's go ahead and watch it, because what I had seen was that he also included something which we didn't see in that last clip about requiring the funds, the $1 billion donation, going to support the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip and rebuilding the Gaza Strip. And I also saw Putin, so let's watch it, because I also saw a little clip that said Putin said he also wants to contribute to the rebuilding of Ukraine. So let's see what he says. This is 2 minutes and 28 seconds, and we won't go on too much longer today. This is an incredible potential moment for global peace. If this is true, it removes one of the two strongest arch villains, according to the Western media, of humanity from the board and joins them with those for peace. So let's hear what he has to say here. Make this full screen. Here we go.
Что касается Совета мира, мы действительно получили личное обращение президента Соединенных Штатов Америки Дональда Трампа с приглашением присоединиться к создаваемой по его инициативе новой международной структуре Совету мира. В этой связи хотел бы прежде всего поблагодарить президента США за это предложение. Мы всегда поддерживали и поддерживаем любые усилия, направленные на укрепление международной стабильности. Отмечаем также и вклад действующей администрации США в поиске решения по урегулированию украинского кризиса. Что касается нашего участия в Совете мира, то МИДу России поручено изучить поступившие к нам документы, проконсультироваться на этот счет с нашими стратегическими партнерами.
Okay, so this is kind of cool. I've never seen, we don't even get to see this. How are we even watching this? Okay, so this is on X. Thank you, Elon Musk. Whoever's watching on our side, tag Elon Musk, thank this guy. Without X, if he didn't buy X, and that's another guy, so polarized, I think humanity was not going down a good path. Me personally, it's my personal opinion. Guess what, guys? I can say it on X. And look at this. We're getting to see that he's brought the whole, it's so interesting. It's just interesting to get both sides. We learn more, make up our own minds. But it's pretty interesting to see he's basically looks like, on a conference call with, a number of other, look, there's a general in there. So we got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I wonder who the lady is in the middle. She's getting the most screen time there for Putin. Pretty cool.
И только после этого мы сможем дать ответ на переданное нам приглашение. В сделанном нам предложении речь прежде всего идет об урегулировании на Ближнем Востоке и о поиске возможных путей решения насущных проблем.
That's really cool. So he's saying right here that the proposal that they've received regarding the peace board is mostly towards these billions of dollars that each of these additional member nation states are contributing will go towards the rebuilding and support of the Gaza Strip and the Gazan people. Now, I was physically, just so you guys know, when Peace Through Trade, we were invited to go to the United Nations last year, the week of September the 21st, for the United Nations General Assembly. It's called, in short, UNGA Week. Biggest week of the year. The most world leaders come in from all over the world. Trump was there. Putin was obviously not, but I don't think Zelensky was there, but Macron was there. Lots of people were there. And I was physically in the building when Trump did his speech. The elevator stopped. He almost fell down. Now, that was legit, just so you guys know. We were on it, myself and my wife, Kailea. When it stopped, I almost fell down. And I'd like to think I'm pretty young and in good shape. I almost completely fell down the escalator set. So he wasn't joking about that. I thought it was actually kind of funny he mentioned it, and it happened to us too. But then the point was when he said that, he made he's right to the point. The guy's in his, early 80s, self-made billionaire in many respects, proven over and over again in his particular field of real estate. But just for those of you watching, I don't know how many billionaires you've had a chance personally, directly off the record to speak to. Throughout my lifetime, I have met and spoken to a few on both sides, Republican side, Democratic side, Libertarian, in the middle, right, left, you call it what you will. It's funny because I've told people that I had a mentor at one point in Southern California that was really, really high net worth. I don't know about $1 billion, but definitely hundreds of millions. He was super Democratic. He spoke almost the exact same way that Trump does. I think when they get past the age of early 70s and they have an ungodly amount of money, more money than they'll need for the rest of this lifetime, I sort of put it like this. I feel like they speak as if they could die at any moment. And they just get right to the point without considering the impacts as to how we think or feel about something. And if we can look past the roughness of that, the intensity of it, and just try and see what their point is. I was trained, doesn't matter who they are, to respect my elders. I'm trying to learn from the wisdom of their experience. It doesn't matter who they are. And so look at this, did Trump just get 23 groups together to contribute $23 billion to the rebuilding of Gaza and Palestine and helping those people? If so, is that really something we should be criticizing? We might not like the way, we might not like the form. I definitely probably don't want to think about the funds initially being used, first of all, for a golf course, but I can see where he's thinking. And in his mind, not speaking on his behalf, but I think in order for something to be so well put back together with infrastructure like that's available in Israel, which in all fairness, before Israel moved in, has never existed in Gaza. And it's not only the fault of Israel or the IDF. For the record, those people have been under the oppression of their own regimes that they've not wanted to be a part of either for a long time. And I know that having spoken to both personally, both Palestinians and members of the IDF. I have friends that are Israeli friends that are in the IDF, and they've told me that they were going in while I was watching the video, like, hey, is this real? Are you guys, really doing this? And what they told me was that it's a really bad situation. The people of even the Gaza are suffering, and they don't even want to be overseen by the various groups that were and have been in charge there. They're running it very much like gangsters, and it's not even in their best interest. And I actually heard from members of the IDF that these Gazans were asking actually for their help, just so you know. That's what I heard off the record. And so the point is, this level of infrastructure was getting there. It was getting there, but it's never existed at this point. So perhaps maybe Trump's, and this is maybe going too far off the limb to give him the benefit of the doubt, but I've got to imagine in his mind, he thinks, imagine how great everything will be to the level of infrastructure for these people, probably better than it has ever been, to the point where they can even then have a golf course. Maybe he's just kind of leapfrogging ahead in his dream building, envisioning of what's possible there. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Let's see the rest of what Putin has to say.
Палестинского народа и разрешения острейших проблем гуманитарной ситуации в секторе Газа. В этой связи отмечу главное. Главное заключается в том, чтобы весь процесс благоприятно сказался на...
Said like a boss. I love how these Russians, they go like super deep voice. It's like super badass. That's the positive of talking to a Russian. Very little expression.
долгосрочном урегулировании палестино-израильского конфликта, основанного на соответствующих решениях Организации Объединенных Наций, и чтобы были участвующих решениях урегулировании Палестино-Наций Объединенных Наций, мы нужды и пожелания палестинцев. Это касается неотъемлемой нужды и пожелания палестинцев.
Shout out to on X MOG_RUSSEN Mog Russen. It's cool to at least even just be seeing Putin speaking directly. He seems pretty matter of fact. Is it all is it all placating to what he thinks or knows we want to hear? And are they going to go out and do whatever they're going to do anyways? But I like what he's saying here. It's important for all the essential needs and desires of the Palestinians to be taken into account, not just doing what developers want to do that are going to be capitalizing on the rebuilding efforts.
Это касается рекомендаций реконструкции сектора Газа и его базовой социальной инфраструктуры, систем здравоохранения, водоснабжения, налаживания бесперебойного обеспечения продовольствием.
Yeah. Well, uninterrupted food supplies, for what it's worth. Also, the same friends I talked to in the IDF said that the group there, that these people may have democratically voted in, but may not have, was stealing the food and blackmailing, sort of increasing the price to the Gazan people. So there's a big problem there. It needs to be removed. These people are suffering, unfortunately. And it's not only because of what's been portrayed in the Western media because of the Israeli situation. It's a complex situation, but it's also because of these, from what it appears like, these criminals that are overseeing criminally over the Gazan people. How are they going to be removed? I think that's a big thing that probably this Board of Peace will focus on as well.
Поэтому уже сейчас, даже до решения нами вопроса об участии в составе и в самой работе Совета мира, учитывая особые отношения России с палестинским народом, мы могли бы, я думаю, направить в Совет мира $1 миллиард США из замороженных еще при прежней администрации США российских активов.
There you go. They'll transfer the bill, and that's the funny move there, little negotiating move. Sure, we'll join. Well, but it's cool though. So he says, I think that's really cool. He says, let's make sure that the interests of the Palestinian people are being met as it relates to the development of the Gaza Strip. That is a badass international positive move on behalf of an international leader. He's not just saying, in all fairness, I haven't met or spoken to Jared Kushner about this topic yet. But when he talks about with excitement also about the development potential of the Gaza Strip, it's, let's say I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. Let's say they have the best of intentions. That's not where the rest of us are thinking right now. What we're thinking is, helping these people get the food, basic necessities that they need, no more deaths, cleaning it all up, and then moving forward from there. I get the need for development and how exciting it is eventually for where it will get. But it's cool for Putin to say that. So he's not just completely placating to Trump or America. He's got his own opinions and his own perspectives, and he's stating that he wants what's in the best interest of them. He actually said he wants them to be involved in the decision-making of their home. That's kind of cool. If he has leverage, if he does a peace deal and he can help ensure that's the case, that's super cool for the people of Gaza. And the boss move, okay, sure, he doesn't have access to these funds right now. They've been frozen as a result of the sanctions placed on Russia as a result of the Ukraine war by the United States. They're frozen in the United States anyway. So he says, cool, if you want our participation, we'll do it. Take the monies from those funds that you're holding that are frozen anyways, which we don't have access to anyway. So it's a cheeky move. But, Okay, so here we have now the full list of the Board of Peace, including world leaders in countries that joined and declined the board for Gaza. So that's interesting. So we just read these countries already. I don't know if there's anyone that we missed. Israel, Albania. I don't think we saw Albania. Saudi Arabia, boom. We didn't see Uzbekistan on the previous list, I don't think. Qatar. I don't think we saw Qatar. Anyways, it's great. Okay, well, let's do a quick count here. Let's just verify our list. Okay, I got 12 in the first, 18, 20, 22. Yeah, okay, so maybe it's the same list. Plus Russia, that'd be 23. Declined, we already know, we heard about this, so let's see if there's anything new here. Slovenia, we didn't see on the first one. I don't think we saw Sweden, German either. Italy, interesting. Giorgia Meloni, she's been pretty positive in an alignment with Trump on a number of fronts, so that's surprising. What isn't surprising are the groups that have been very much aligned with Trump already: Hungary, Saudi Arabia, Argentina, Israel, hand in hand, lockstep there. But that's cool, hey, Bibi saying that we're going to be funding and a part of funding the rebuilding of Gaza. That's cool. It's cool to see the Middle East coming in on it too in a big way. Indonesia, that's cool. Very cool. Well, guys, this gives a lot of food for thought. There's, this is a big deal. I want to see if we could find Taryn in the Peace Through Trade team here behind the scenes that's helping us produce this live. Could you shoot me the links to Trump's statement officially on the Board of Peace? That's what I want to find next, because I want to see if in closing we can find his full clip. It's so hard. You know what? I should be going to X for all these clips anyways. Seriously, X is the only place that I'm able to usually find. That's the first place I've ever seen anything on Putin. I usually go to YouTube too to find stuff from our side, but. Oh, Trump withdrew Canada from the Board of Peace after the Davos clash. Okay, so this is the Board of Peace event. Here we go. I don't know. Yeah, I'm Canadian, and Carney, so for the record, the stuff that Mark Carney says about Canada not needing America, not being dependent upon America, is absolutely insane from my perspective. I probably won't be as forthright once we've blown up and we have our ICO and we have an enormous audience. That does not sound as geopolitically neutral. But yeah, 75-80% of the money that Canada makes as a nation comes from America. So as a Canadian, we'd probably want to see, we don't want anyone world leader to be compromising their morality by any means. But the whole point of diplomacy is you're supposed to get along with people, whether you agree with them or not, like them or not, for the best interest of what's in the best interest of your people. And he says that publicly, just for the record, and then behind the scenes, he does stuff for Americans anyways. Like the most recent pipeline deal, look into it. It's going through Canada, 100% paid for by Canadian taxpayers. It's like Standing Rock that occurred in America. Far worse, he's just pushing it through the native reservations and tribes in Canada. There's no press, no media. The police in Canada, the FBI is referred to as the RCMP, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. They're just not even letting the natives really do anything about it. And it could completely, worst case scenario, it has negative environmental impact. The pipeline could burst. The natives don't get a say in it. They're not really allowed to talk about it, and they'll just suffer the consequences. And nature will, should anything negative happen. And 100% right now of the revenue goes to, guess what? American companies, American oil companies. So, Mark is a politician. It's curious to know who he's really working for, though, because a lot of his decisions aren't necessarily benefiting Canada or Canadians from my perspective. Be happy to talk about it with Mark on the next live if he wants to have an open discussion about it. So, okay, here we are, Trump, Board of Peace. This is him withdrawing Mark Carney and Canada's participation. You gotta love X. This is clearly not a fan of Trump. Trump welcomes Emperor Palpatine to his Board of Peace. Well, it's kind of like, that could be a reference possibly to Putin, because that's the way we look at it in the West. Anyways, where's Trump's speech on this? Anyways, we might not be able to find it, but let's just go to what we can find. There's a clip with him and President Milei. President of Argentina sits down to sign. Let's see. I'm going to say anything. No, we're not going to. Oh, maybe. No. We're just signing. Okay. And this was Trump walking around, shaking their hands, all the people that signed. We don't have to. There's Indonesia there, or Malaysia, pardon me. Or no, Indonesia, sorry. Okay, interesting. So, I think it's an impressive accomplishment regardless. 23 nations, if Russia joins, $1 billion per member state. What they're going to be working on initially, it sounds like the rebuilding of Gaza. Let's hear it. This should be worth a...
For national and international security, and to keep our very energetic and dangerous potential enemies at bay, is this land on which we're going to build the greatest golden dome ever built. We're building a golden dome that's going to, just by its very nature, going to be defending Canada. Canada gets a lot of freebies from us, by the way. They should be grateful also, but they're not. I watched your Prime Minister yesterday. He wasn't so grateful. But they should be grateful to us. Canada lives because of the United States. Remember that, Mark, the next time you make your statements. What we did for Israel was amazing, but that's nothing compared to what we have planned for the United States, Canada, and the rest of the world. We are going to build a dome like no other. We did it for Israel.
Okay, so I agree with Trump. I don't think Mark Carney should be villainizing and weaponizing and polarizing and separating himself from the number one economic partner of Canada. Interestingly enough, the tariffs were interesting, very controversial initially. The most recent time I went back to Canada in August, we actually had far more, because of the tariffs, they stopped importing as many American companies. What was cool, and I don't know if this was intended, but the positive for a lot of the nations that stopped importing, Canada did this protest, they stopped importing American products. Well, guess what? Canadians and Canadian entrepreneurs made products to replace the American ones that weren't getting imported anymore. So now you had more Canadian products on the shelf. What does that do? It's better for the Canadian economy. So that part of it was pretty cool. The Golden Dome, agreed. The funny part is I had people call me that are super liberal in Canada, friends, family members, relatives, most of whom I've never heard say a positive thing about Trump ever. And they were calling me to talk about this whole Greenland thing. And what do you think, never having said a positive thing about Trump ever, and I'm just laughing because, I'm not involved. I can't vote. I'm Canadian. We're neutral. But what do you think their response was about Trump and Greenland? It was positive. They're like, this is going to be amazing. This could totally protect all of Canada. We love it. Okay, well, what do you think about Trump? Can you say anything positive about that? Well, no, I don't like the way he's doing it. And so, braggadocious and not respecting. And I agree with all those things. But at the end of the day, they're going to be so grateful if and when he can get this golden dome in place over Greenland. The United States developed the Iron Dome for Israel. It's super cool. I was literally on calls almost a decade ago working with Israeli friends of ours way back in the day. And I remember one time I heard the air alarms go off, like, woo. And I'm talking to my friend and we're doing a business call. And I said, what is that? And he goes, oh, it's just the Iron Dome alerts. Don't worry, everything's going to be fine. They're just shooting grenades or rockets at us, and the Golden Dome will take care of it. I never even heard of the Golden Dome at that time. I went and looked it up on YouTube afterwards. And this Golden Dome, it just intercepts these grenades, these rockets being launched at them from the Gaza Strip, blows them up. And he's like, I was picturing in my mind, I think he was walking down the stairs of an apartment building with his family, and he was like not fazed about it, nonplussed, no big deal, don't worry about it. Just happens all the time kind of thing. So, but what's sort of inspiring that Trump's describing here objectively is this Golden Dome. If America's going to do it, the coolest thing about Trump, when we look at the positives, just look at the positives. That's what I'm choosing to do. I am choosing to look at all the positives. I can't do anything I couldn't vote for him. I couldn't vote for Biden or anyone. So it is what it is for me. So I'm just going to focus on the positives and live with the positives that are coming out now ongoing. It doesn't matter who's in office. I'm going to do the best I can for you, for humanity, for our global community and the planet. Doesn't matter. I'm more about action. We're more about action here at Peace Through Trade. Anyway, so the positive, though, is that you got to love the fact that if ever Trump's going to do something, he's going to fund it the most, and he wants it to be the best ever for his legacy, right? So that's the kind of cool part is this Golden Dome. You know it's going to be the best one ever. You know it's going to have the most funding ever, and you know it's going to be more effective than anything humanity's ever seen before, which, to his credit, that whole peace through strength is true. The more strength that they've shown, the less flack they take, the more effective they are, the less damage, the less conflict, and the more peace that occurs. There's been 7 peace deals thus far in this first year. Unreal, record-breaking, never done before. So that's kind of exciting, and I think it's funny he's withdrawn Mark Carney. I hope Mark Carney can work for the best interests of Canada, get back to some deal terms that work well for Canada. Canada's currency rate, just for those of you that aren't Canadian, FYI, it dropped about 40% in the last few years. Usually it hovered around 25%. Sometimes it was equal with the American dollar, but 40% is brutal for Canadians. Imagine when they leave Canada to go south into America or any other country or Europe, their dollar's worth at that point about 50% less in Europe now. Brutal. So there's a lot of good work that they could do economically, and it would be cool just to see them actually produce results. I don't care if he stands on the soapbox and proponents his ideals and his morals that he doesn't agree with, but also produce results that kick ass for your people too. Until that's happening, it's just an opinion. Okay, cool. Well, guys, that was it. I thought we should go live on this. Board of Peace. We are Peace Through Trade. We're creating a global Web3 ecosystem. We envision having humans all over the world with the Peace Through Trade mobile wallet app, the ability to buy and sell together as a global community where we can help empower people all over the world. We can help empower causes all over the world, the whole while it's sustainable, the whole while we're focused as well on opportunities that we together as a community can actually do something about that are better for the planet, better for nature, better for our oceans, better for water. Have planet Earth thrive at the same time we have humanity thrive. And we can give access, that equitable access, like the United Nations talks about in the Sustainable Development Goals, to more humans faster than ever before, and we could do more commerce than ever before. And we're excited to help uplift our fellow brothers and sisters, our fellow human family members over the entire world and help nature thrive all the while. So if that matters to you, then you're in the right place. Join Peace Through Trade. We have an epic community already. Check out our Discord if you haven't already. Check out our Telegram group. The Telegram community group is very difficult to prevent all the bots, as is on Telegram, but Discord's amazing. X is amazing. Great group of people here. The Peace Through Trade coin, there's no financial advice given now or ever. Do your own research. There's always a risk. We sold over $1.5 million of Peace Through Trade coin last year from people all over the world. How cool is that? We sold out of our $1 per coin, $2 per coin, and we're just about sold out of the $3 per coin. After this, it's moving up to $4. We've got some exciting announcements this year. The launch of our mobile wallet app in Q2 and the launch of the ICO happening in more than likely towards the end of Q3. Okay, stay tuned for official dates. It's an exciting time to be here, a part of the community. Imagine this project's been 5 years in the making. Why should you care about it? Well, if you care about the planet and you want to see a global, worldwide blockchain and AI system that's sustainable, that right now for an entire government can be run completely on solar, if that matters to you, protect environment, protect nature, and empower all of humanity, which we could do together faster than ever before, join the community. We've been working on this for 5 years, built everything painstakingly over the long term, full risk on us. We didn't pump out a token and raise a bunch of money and then turn around and figure out how to build it. We took all the risk. We did it the right way for the long term. It's all built. It's all working. Check out our site. We have our own Peace Through Trade exchange. We have our own Peace Through Trade Layer 1. We have our own Peace Through Trade AI run on our own machinery, at our own secure server network, powered entirely by solar. Our exchange, it's not even live yet. It's already connected to about $400+ million a month in liquidity. So pre-ICO purchasers can go there and liquidate their Peace Through Trade coins into other major coins. It's already there. It's already working. Look at all the work we've already done. On top of that, we have our own independent Layer 1 stablecoins as a group that are epic, and we will have greater security and safety and insurance available to you for your money, your personal savings, or your business's monies, than I think as valuable as have ever been done before. So it's an exciting time. There's no guarantees, but we have done it the right way for the long term. So that's a pretty good thing to do. So it's a great project, great opportunity, exciting year ahead of us. You're in the right place if you care about humanity, if you care about the planet, and if you want to be a part of good people genuinely doing the right thing for the long term. You're in the right place. God bless everyone. Thanks so much for watching. Leave your thoughts, questions, and comments now and or for the recording.